Like we're cooking.
Remember you were going to get a little chicken.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. So.
I had kind of fun. I was doing these little little whatever they are. Running around. Is it possible? Are we being recorded?
Yes, hang on. Shall I admit people?
Sure.
You know what? I better push the record button there before I forget.
I'll put this so that they can say hi. Wow.
Oh, we got one more, Jane.
Oh, good. Jane.
And Lynn.
Celeste.
Oh.
There's 6.
Asha.
Oh,
Wow, look at that.
there's Lynn.
Cool.
Cool. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Hi, Jane. Hi, Celeste. Oh, I know. That's Britanna. Hi, Britanna. Hi there, Sarah.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. We're 8 people here.
Oh, yes, you can take your mask off. Yeah.
Oh, she's taking a mess off.
Okay, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you. Well, hi, everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. We're so excited that you've joined us today. It's going to be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to it, but most of all, it's good to see you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome. I'm looking now over to the screen. I can see Denise and Jane and Rose and Lynn and Sarah and Marshall and Aiden, right? And Asha. Is that right, Asha?
Aisha.
Aisha. I'll try to remember. Nice. And Britanna's here. That's great.
Hi.
Hi. Well, we'll just get started. So my name's Mary Leah, and I'm here with Tom Pace at the Rum River Art Center. And this will be recorded, I think. I'm pretty sure. And so you can always go back and watch it again later if you want to. We have so many fun things going on here at the Art Center. So take a peek at the website. There's a gift shop. There's all kinds of cool stuff and cool classes that you can take advantage of. So we'll get started. What we're going to do is we're going to make a sort of a festive harvest wreath. And I did a wreath early in, I believe it was in March, and it was sort of a hopeful spring kind of wreath. We were still probably in the throes of winter, but I thought this would be fun to do, and we'll thinking harvesty things and pumpkins and yeah, so it'll be fun. I'll take you through step by step. I'll show you some different things and ideas. And so let's get started.
Yours doesn't like me today.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, so I had fun doing these little tutorials. I was just playing around a little bit with some little berries, and I remembered I remembered rose hips, and we used to find them in the woods and thought we were going to make some tea with them. I don't know if that ever happened, but and then I was trying to remember the name of the sumac leaves that get so bright. Excuse me. And some little acorns here, kind of fun, and the oak leaves. So it was just sort of fun to make these little little mini paintings. There's a little pumpkin and maybe a sunflower here and an apple, and more berries and acorns, and some wheat. So we're thinking about fall colors today, warm colors. Mostly I'm thinking about burgundy and purple and orange, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's just think about how we're going to do this wreath. Here are a couple examples. This is the one that was on the website. Now this got a little, this is a pretty good sized piece of paper. What size is this?
Which one?
8 by 10 maybe? I'm not sure.
That's 10 by 15.
Yeah, well, it's about 11 by,
That's about 11 by 14.
yeah, about 11 by 14. So if you use a big sheet of paper, then you'll have more room to make things and to paint. The smaller the paper, the smaller the brush you'll probably want to use. And, you can make small little cards with this idea, or you can, turn it into, a decorative painting. You could write something in the center here. You could even put a bird. Might be kind of pretty to put like right here, perhaps. Those are just some ideas. The other one that I did is, whoops, this one's got a pumpkin. And I kind of like this one. Now this is a half sheet. So, think about what size paper you want to use, and how much, how you want to fill it. Okay. So what we'll be doing is we'll start with a little drawing, and then I am basically thinking about my main ideas or my bigger shapes, like my pumpkin and then my flowers. Those would be the ones that I would draw. The other parts to it are just going to be painted freehand. But feel free to draw if you feel that that helps you. I just, like to kind of do the leaves freehand, and we'll talk about a way that you can do that too today. Okay, so let's see. I think those are my examples, and we can refer to those again later. So, let's think about the way we would start this project. And here's a little piece of, whoops. Here's a little piece of paper. What I'm going to be doing is just first thinking about getting this on my paper. So I would really just sort of draw a circle. Now, if you feel like you want to, it doesn't have to be perfect, because remember, we're going to add things to it. Can everybody see this? Yeah? Okay. So, remember that you're going to be adding things to this and having things poking out and poking in. So it does not have to be perfect. Think of a grapevine, kind of a wreath maybe. Don't have to have it be perfectly exact. Okay, so let's see here. Here's the little drawing I started just to show you, and I can do this with marker. I first started with my pumpkin. Now, if you don't want to put a pumpkin, that is totally cool. You could put something like that. It's upside down. You could put something like that, or several flowers. It doesn't have to be, a pumpkin, but here's a pumpkin that I started to draw. And usually with this, and I'm just going to outline it for you real quick. I kind of start like that, and then I, well, probably want to get your outside edges first, and then I think about these, the ribs in the pumpkin. And so I kind of just draw it first, and then I get this in here so that it's more three-dimensional. Okay, so there's the beginning of my pumpkin. And the stem can just kind of come out here and scoot around a little bit, and maybe have something like that happening. All right, and then I've got some leaves here just to sort of position it on the paper nicely. And so, like I said, some of these things I'll draw, and then the leaves I'll fill in as I go around. maybe I'll put a little sunflower up here, and that I usually start with a circle and then just arrange the petals around it. So think about what you want to do for yours. And like I said, just start adding your flowers. I'll show you an acorn. We'll do an acorn together. We'll do an oak leaf together. Maybe put some more back here. Okay, this flower is kind of like these, and I like to just paint them. But basically, all they are is a circle with some curvy lines for the petals. It smells like marker in here now. I didn't really want that to happen. And you can add a few little leaves. I'm thinking also about the direction of the leaves. They're the leaves and the, yeah, so they're kind of heading this way and this way. And it kind of makes it a nice design when you do that. So let's do a little oak leaf. They're kind of fun to make. I'll do one on here real quick. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And these are really just curvy lines that are fun to do, and they get a little bit smaller maybe. That one's not that great. See? Okay, let's make another one. These are there. I like to make these, and they always turn out a little bit different. So little oak leaves. And let's do a little acorn too, so that you know how to do that one. That is, I did write some notes. Let's see here. There they are. Okay, so I'm going to make a little U shape, and then I'm going to make a mark that goes like that, and then the cap is around like this, and then it has that little thing that's kind of connected to the branch. Okay, so that's the basic idea for a little acorn. What else was I going to show you? That's good. Those are some of the parts to my wreath. Oh, does everybody have that? Okay, so I'm going to keep going here on this, and here's another little flower. I'm just going to get these organized on here so I know where I'm headed once I start to paint. It's nice to have a little area so that you can mix your paints, like a little tray or a plate or something. It's always good to have that handy. You'll need some water, and you'll need a brush or two. Oh, Tom's like, oh yeah, we need water. He's so great. He always makes sure that the water that I'm painting with is nice and clean, because I tend to make a little bit of a mess, I'll say. All right, so I'm drawing the big things, and then, like I said, I can fill in later with some of these smaller things. And remember that in nature, things are not all perfectly straight. I'm making a lot of curved lines. And even if I made inside my leaf here, I make some marks here, I'm making it with some curves as opposed to perfectly straight. Okay, so think about that a little bit. Thank you so much, Tom.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this is what I would suggest when you're organizing your wreath. And so I would spend a little bit of time drawing. I'll leave this up, and then maybe, well, this is the painting part. So let's just get our painting organized. So when we draw with watercolor, just remember to draw lightly with your pencil. Don't press real hard. We're just getting a basic idea. We're not making a perfect drawing. You don't need to shade it or add really too many details. Just get the basic idea done. And with watercolor, we think about layers. So I would do a layer of a wash of color, and then I can let it dry, and then I can add details. So that's what, well, you can kind of see in some, oh, that one's not a very good example, but maybe right here, you can see that I painted that little flower and then later went in and did some detail work. Okay. And same with the little acorn. It's kind of fun. Okay. Does anybody have a question or an idea? All right. Now I drew my example, I think already. I can find it. There it is. And that's the one that I did. You probably can't see it. But that's the one I'll be painting on. I'll give you guys a minute to get organized. All right, that's pretty good. Okay. I really think that the organizing of a painting is very important to have things set up the way that you want them so that you have a pleasing design. Notice that I offset the pumpkin a little bit to the right. I didn't put it dead center. We like to repeat things. Generally, have maybe 3 of the same thing, and it can vary in size. So some of my shapes are small and some are medium sized and some are larger. And we'll do the same thing with color. We'll have repeat colors throughout the design so that it gives it a unity and cohesiveness. It's kind of an important thing in art, and all the colors don't have to be the same. We can change it up using orange and then orange yellow, or add a little bit of pink to the situation. So we can do that and change it up so that it's interesting. All right, so are we kind of ready to get started on the painting part? No, okay, thank you. Thanks for letting me know. That's good. That's cute. So remember, don't think you have to draw every single leaf and every single berry, or because I'm going to show you how you can paint those things pretty quickly without having to draw them. Just get your bigger shapes down. And we can erase the pencil lines when we're done painting if we want to. You don't have to, but you can. Okay. Just want to show you some of the materials I'm using today. I've got a HB pencil that I've been working with and a nice kneaded eraser. This is a little bit used, obviously, but they're really good for erasing watercolor paper. I have this nice Blick brush, which Larry had here too. This is a golden Taklon round, size 8. And this is a nice little brush. And I've been using this one, my Princeton size 6 round Elite, which I've liked this brush a lot. It's pretty thirsty brush, and it's really good for drawing as well as filling in areas. So it's been a good brush. And then I have this nice Yarka paint set, which you can see I've been using it for a while. Some of you may have this, and you can purchase these kits here at the Art Center that have paper. You get paper and a brush, I believe, and this nice paint set. So if you're using that paint set, you can certainly do your mixing on a nice tray like this, you know, and you can clean this right under water, you know, run it under the sink and clean it. I have a set like my paints that I use, and I have this nice mixing tray, and I have my paints set up around it. I have lots of different palettes. There are so many to choose from, but I've really enjoyed having this one. These paints just need to be reactivated with a bit of water, as do the same thing with this. So right now you'd have to add water, but it's always a good idea to have a spot to mix your colors. Always a good idea, because we do mix colors with watercolor. All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to get started, and I am going to just show you a couple things. And so this is a little practice. Now you might have a scrap piece of paper nearby, and that would be really good to have, because that way you can test your paint colors, and you can do a little practicing with me if you want to. You don't have to, but I'm going to show you a couple ways to make leaves, because we'll be doing leaves with this project. And I'm getting a nice little bit of paint on my brush from my Yarka set here. And I just put some water in here to activate that paint. I don't want to have too much water, and that's the trickiest thing to understand and to learn. How much water do I need with my pigment? The more water you use, the lighter the value will be. The more, you know, the more pigment you use, the darker it will be. Okay? Are they seeing this like this?
Yeah, they are.
It's a little bit.
The camera will focus in a minute.
Okay. So
It can't find anything to focus on.
oh, I get it. Okay, so I'm going to do a little leaf, a couple different leaves for you. Usually one of the ways I would start is with the stem. So I'm up on the tip of my brush, drawing the stem, and then I can do a petal, okay, with a couple brush strokes, and then bring another one here. So I'm pressing down on my brush, so it has to do with the pressure of the brush. So how I push down and then I lift up. Okay. So you can make these pretty easily, and you can also change the color that you're using.
Focus.
It's not focusing. No. And I'm adding a little bit darker color to this, just so that you can see it better, actually. There. There. Interesting. Okay. So if I want my green to be a little bit more of a yellow green, I just mix the green and the yellow together, and it changes it up by doing that. And you know, a lot of us know this because we've been painting for a while, but not everybody's been painting for a while. So it's good to just, you know, talk about that a little bit. So we can go like that. Remember, do your leaves. These are relatively small, but it just has to do with pushing down with your brush a little bit and lifting up. And I am sort of anchoring my hand or a little bit down on the table so I can be more precise in the marks that I make. Okay, let's try a little bit of like wheat. Whoops, I'm using the yellow ochre, which is in the paint set, but you can use any color you want to. So that's that one right there. And we can do the same thing by making a brush stroke up, and I can make tiny little marks here, and I'm actually pulling from the stem and pulling them up with the tip of my brush. So I'm really just making marks and drawing a bit. Now once you do a layer of this and it dries, then you can always go back with your a bit darker color and add a deeper value. Okay. Another fun one is this one that I kind of like making these. I don't really know what they are, but I think I saw some on the way over here. I don't know what they're called though. Let's see if I can do this right. So this one I'm pushing down and I'm making kind of a curved shape at the top and bringing it to the stem instead of coming from the stem. Well, these are fun to make. And then I can touch the edges here with a little more color while it's wet, and it's gonna do a little bit of a bleed or a run, we call it, and get a little darker here and there. While it's wet, you can do that. Or you can add more. Whoops. Okay, so those are a couple ideas. Let's just do the little acorn real quick, and then we'll start working on our wreath. So the acorn, let's see, I always forget. I do need to draw the acorn before I paint it. Just sort of helps me. Okay, so with this one, I would start with a nice warm brown and get this part filled in first. I'm not dampening the surface of the paper first. I'm just painting it because this is a very small little area. I'm just painting this first. And I'll do another layer on this once it's dry. You can leave a little bit of light here. I left a little highlight. Okay. But I would wait for that to dry to do the next part. And then the little cap, we can do that with a lighter value. You can use yellow ochre or just a very pale value of the brown. That means more water. So I'd let it dry, and then I would do the details once it's dry. And the details, I'll just show you the finished, one of the finished ones is making these sort of lines that are going like this to describe the curved shape. And then these are just little marks that are on the top of the cap. Okay? All right. Quick little berry, and then we'll get started. I know I said I'd get started, but it's kind of fun to know how to do some of these little things. Now the berries, of course, are just a little circle, but I like to leave a highlight, and that means I just left a little bit of paper white and in the shape of a little tiny sort of a rectangle, okay? And these grow in clumps, and then you can connect them to each other once they're a bit dry. Or if you are in a hurry, you can always just, it's okay to get a little bit of the green, you know, with the, whoops, that one didn't do too good, but okay. So you can really do it pretty quickly if you need to. Okay, all right. So we'll get started on our painting now because I probably talked way too much. Where did I put my little drawing?
We're at the halfway point.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to start with my pumpkin, and I'm going to grab some orange right from my paint tray. And if you don't have orange, you can make it with yellow and a little red. And you can make it that way. I'm going to clean my palette off a little bit. All right.
Has everybody got their wreaths drawn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, excuse me, I can use a little warm yellow to start with, or I can just do orange right away. So this, again, it's quite a small area, and I'm just filling this in a little at a time. In other words, I'm going to skip over to this area where the ribs are sort of dividing the pumpkin. And then later I'll go back and add my details. Now I'm using Hansa yellow, which is a lovely, I'll show you, a lovely warm yellow right here. Okay, and there's my orange. And I can mix them together because they are friendly neighbors, right? They're analogous colors, so they can get mixed together. I can mix on my tray, but I can also mix right on my paper. So here I can get this a little bit darker. Again, because it's damp, I can do this.
Thank you.
And I'm just filling this in. Now I'm leaving a little bit of white space between the ribs or between these parts of the pumpkin. This is the rib right here. So I'm leaving it intentionally because I'm going to go back later and add some line work for detail. Okay. So really the pumpkin, if you're doing one, is that's going to be your main idea here. And the rest are taking second stage, or this is center stage, right?
Mhm.
All right. So I know it's going to be a little darker at the bottom. So I've got a little bit darker pigment. That just means more pigment on my brush. I'm popping some color in here to start to get it so that it's has 3-dimension to it. I'm going to wait to do the stem because I don't really want it to all run together. So, all right, I'm going to move up here to this little flower, and I'm going to have that be, I think I'm going to stick with the orange and yellows. And I'm just going to first start with the petal and paint my petals. And these are very similar to the way that we did the leaves. You're just pressing down a bit with your brush and then lifting up. Okay, pretty simple. Leaving the center empty because I'll go back later and fill that in. And I can always get more color here and dab it a bit into the center area, near the center, I should say, and at the ends. Now, those pencil lines will end up having to get erased. So I'm really just working my way around my painting to fill in where I want to have the bigger shapes, and then the leaves go pretty quickly. I'm erasing this because I just want to do something different here. Maybe go with a little bit of more of a pink. Okay, so here's my center. And then I'm going to use a little bit of red with my orange and change it up a little bit. Usually with watercolor, whoops, we work light to dark. And we work general to specific. In other words, I'm not adding a lot of details here yet, but I will once things are dry. I think that's fun to change that color up a little bit so that's not all the same. And I could give this a yellow center or really any color that I want. Okay, so again, I'm popping in a bit of red here into this area just to give it a little more definition and color. I'll hold it up. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put another flower up here, I think. And this time I'm going to go into some purple. And you've got purple in your set. Or maybe you have a tube paint with purple. Or you can make it with your blue and your red. I'm going to get a little bit of purple over here. So I'm going to do another flower. I thought I drew a sunflower here. I guess not. Draw a flower. So I start with the center and then just go filling it in. Like these kinds of leaves, petals. So you want your paint to flow in a way that your brush stroke has enough pigment and water combination so that you can do your shapes without having to always go and get more. In other words, this petal has enough, the brush has enough paint on it for me to do this petal. And now I'm reaching in and getting more pigment. Okay. So now that I made this decision here to make a purple flower, I can go, when I do my centers of my other flowers, I will probably make those purple. And sometimes, you know, you just think of these ideas as you're going along. And that's what's so fun about making paintings and doing art. It's like, oh, that would be fun. Try that. Okay. So there's my little purple flower. And I probably need another little purple flower now. I just saw purple and I thought, oh, that would be very nice. Maybe over here, I'll do a little one. So I changed the shape of the flower. It's not exactly the same, but the color here is going to make it cohesive. And now I know I need one more over here. And I'll make it just kind of like a little aster. So you can use your brush in lots of ways. You can use the side of the brush. You can use the brush, the tip of the brush for drawing, right, Tom?
Yep.
You can change the pressure that you're applying when you're making your marks. Just is really kind of fun to do. Okay, I'm going to pop over to my acorns. I'm using that nice brown that we have here in the set, or Van Dyke brown is a nice brown. What are some other good browns?
Burnt sienna.
Yeah, burnt sienna
Burnt
is a
sienna.
great
It's a
one,
nice
but
brown.
it's got a lot of red in it. So, but it's a beautiful brown. So I'm just painting in this little acorn here.
Is it raw sienna?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I need to get some more art supplies. Or maybe Christmas or something. We always love art supplies, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Can never have enough.
No, I know. It's so fun. Okay, there's my little acorns, and then I'm going to do these over here too. I didn't want to get too dark because I want to be able to do some line work on top of them. So I might have gone a bit too dark, but we always remember, like Tom always reminds me, that the watercolor is going to dry lighter. So you want to keep that in mind. Once it starts to dry, it'll dry lighter. Okay, and I'll go and do the little caps, excuse me, in a little bit. Okay, we're coming along. The oak leaves might be a good one to do next. And because I've got some brown here on my brush. If your water starts to get kind of discolored, mine is totally fine, but you know, just go get some fresh water. You know, it's always good to have, you don't want to end up with mud on your paper. So these I'm just painting that nice warm brown. If I want to add a little touch of color to these leaves, I'll show you in a minute here. So this one's behind the other one, and I'll get the other one done too. I will probably have to go back with these and get one of them a little bit darker because they're really close together, right? And I could put in the burnt sienna into this situation because that would look really nice with it. And I've got a pretty small piece of paper. Usually I work a lot bigger, but this is kind of fun. And I'm touching that burnt sienna right to the tips of, or the edges, I should say, of these little oak leaves. And it just gives it a little bit of zip, I would say. Okay, so now the one in front is sort of popping out a little bit more, which is totally fine. Okay. I would go back later and add any detail work like the veins in the leaf. I would do that a little later. Okay, I'm going to get over here and do these little leaves. I think it's really good to change up the size of your paintings. In other words, sometimes paint small and then change it up and paint larger. And it really helps you to be a better artist, I think. Wouldn't you say that, Tom? If you're always working in the same size paper, I don't know. I just think it's
Well, it gives you a little more diversity to understanding sizes and proportions.
exactly. That's right. So there's that little. Okay. I'm kind of working a little more quickly than I.
Usually,
Yeah.
you still have 20 minutes.
Oh, we're good. Okay. So another thing, if you're new to painting, you know, you've got a shape and you're filling it in, you can work from the inside of the shape and bring your brush strokes outward, which is what I'm doing right now. Notice that I didn't outline it. Now, outlining can work for you if you are doing something very small, like if I'm making a little berry, which is small for this painting, but I can do a little circle and then fill it in. But generally we don't want to outline because it can leave a hard edge. And things in nature are usually not outlined anyway. Okay, I'm going back in with that burnt sienna if you have that. And just kind of touching, whoops, here, I'm over here, the edges of, I think that is kind of cute. Okay. Gotta think of what to do there. Finish my little top on my acorn. So that's a little bit lighter brown. And it's filling that in there. So we have some more classes coming up in December. I believe there's a drawing class with Deb, right, Tom?
Yes,
Yeah,
December 7th,
December 7th.
1 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Okay. And we'll be doing a poinsettia. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, close enough. How I say it.
Coming up in December as well. So that'll be kind of fun. All right. Now these are dry, so I can go and pop in some color for the centers of my flowers. So really just check for dryness before you move ahead with things. And why am I thinking I need pink here, but I just think so. So I'm filling this little center in, and then I might want it a bit darker. So I'm going in with a little bit of the purple here. Switch this other brush. And you can make some little marks. Oh, this is kind of cool. Let's see. I'm just sort of trying to tie these colors together that I've been using in this little painting. So I'm gonna go with the orange right here. All right. So I think I'm ready to add some leaves to this. Oh, I better do some berries. How about that? And you can add, you could make blueberries too if you wanted. That'd be kind of fun. Or little red berries. You can think about where you want them. I started some over here, so whoops, this one. Just gonna make that little circle shape here and then fill it in and leave a little highlight. Don't make them too big because they're small and okay. Fun to make, and they add a little bit of color to the whole thing. So this would be fun, you know, to do to make some little cards for giving to others, or just for fun for your own enjoyment. Let's see. Guess we need one over here, huh? I need another little oak leaf over here with these little acorns. Everybody doing okay? Lynn,
yeah.
you doing good?
She's kind of
She's smiling. So, you know, I just noticed that I needed to do a little more drawing, and you can certainly do that. Just be sure that things near where you're working are not wet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it'll smear it. So you have to be a little bit thoughtful about that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to move now into a bit of green and start working on some leaves. Well, maybe I'll do the wheat. I know I'm changing my mind. It's kind of funny. I'm going to go and do some of the.
Well, artists are
You
allowed
can
to
change
do
your
that.
mind. That's totally fine. Okay, so I've got that yellow ochre, and I'm going to do some brown with a little bit of the yellow ochre mixed together to do some of these shapes here. So as you sort of do a project like this, it's kind of fun because you are creating as you go along and changing it up as well. And I think that's kind of a fun thing to do. And you think about, oh, maybe I need a little more of this or that over here, and you can just add it. I'll probably do a lot more of these because I think they kind of add to it. It look really nice. Okay, I'm going to join some of these berries together, and I'm just drawing from the berries with my pencil, my brush on my pencil. Sorry. And I am turning it. You're probably noticing that I'm turning my watercolor paper because, you know, I need to get into certain areas, and I don't want to get my hand into the parts that are damp. How are we doing on time?
You are coming on to 10 minutes to.
Okay. So you may, have more ideas as you're working on something like this, and you can always fill it in a little more later, going back and adding some details. And I know I didn't do the leaves yet, but I will. But I just want to show you with a bit of a darker pigment, I can go back into some of these leaves and, maybe make this one behind a little bit darker. So I'm just adding some more paint so that it's darker here. And then I can also do some line work with the darker value over top of the dried surface. Now you certainly don't have to do that, but it's just another added idea. And I don't want to make those lines really straight. I want to kind of curve them just a bit here and there. Can add some details into the center of the flower, just dotting in some little bits of brown. All right. This is way too light. I could go right over it. So remember that. You can layer over top of the first wash and get a bit darker here and there. Back to my pumpkin and get some line work here on those ribs of the pumpkin. And we don't want to do all of them, just a little bit here and there. Be darker at the bottom. So you can just get a little paint there. And then if you get a hard edge that you're not too happy with, you can always soften it with your clean water. And I'm rinsing my brush and drying it, and then I can just soften this a bit so that it's not such a harsh line. Okay. A little darker here. And I probably would work on this quite a bit more. And you can always make another one if you have plenty of watercolor paper. Okay, I need to do this little stem here. And I did it fairly lightly. I can always go back and get it darker, which I probably will do right now. Be darker here. Okay. All right. I know I always go a little bit over time, don't I, Tom?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you have enough time.
Yeah. So my leaves, I'm just getting some nice green here. I like the green in this paint set. If you have Viridian, which is a nice green, you can mix it with a bit of red, and it will give you a green that's more like this, like more of a pine tree sort of a green. Sap green is another good one if you've got sap green, but I just mixed this up with a little bit of yellow, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm going to do these leaves now. There's no real particular order in which you need to do things. It's just think about where things are, if they're next to each other and they get wet and you're painting, then you need to skip over to another area so that you don't, so they don't bleed. Now, sometimes we want things to run and bleed, so not literally bleed, but the color is bleeding sort of. So then you can work wet and wet, and that's totally fine. So I'm getting these a little darker towards the pumpkin. I changed my shape a little bit, but I kind of like it better. And I'll go over here, and I might change that green up a little bit and put more yellow in it. So I love having these nice mixing trays near me. A plate will work just as well. If you have a little plate or a plastic lid to something, and that will work too. So the green is starting to sort of pull it together a bit, I think. And I'll just put some leaves here that are green popping out. And these are just marks that are simple brush strokes. Okay. So in a couple minutes, when I'm done, I still have a little bit more to do, but we'll take a minute or a few minutes so that we can share what we've done. Be fun to see what you guys have made today. And you know, you may not be finished with this little painting, and that's okay. Remember, we can always go back and work on it a little bit more and do some detail work. I want these to be going this way. That's a nice green. I mixed the green that was in this paint set in with the yellow ochre, and it's really pretty. And if you want, you can sort of do a connecting, some connecting line work here. With your brown or with your green. I'm trying to think of where to go next. It's like I'm working a bit in a hurry. That's all right. So I changed my green up a little. It's not all the same. These are still too wet to do detail to. So that I would go back and add more detail work. Remember that you can also overlap or have things come behind. Like it's not quite finished. Over here, maybe. How are we on time? Pretty well done.
5-2.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave the meeting here so we can get bigger pictures on your screen.
Okay. So I'm going in really sort of into these areas that need a little more definition. You can see how light this is right here. So I can do some more work that gives it a bit more definition and some value changes. Felt like it kind of needed that. And I'm filling in places that they just seem like they need a little more density. In other words, more shapes. I feel like the colors are pretty well dispersed. Fun to make some little green buds here and there. And you can just keep growing this, so that's what's fun about it. Forgot to give that flower a center. Okay.
Oh yeah, they're way bigger.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody could think about unmuting, and some of you can turn on your cameras, please do. Does anybody have anything to show? How about you, Rose? There you go. Upper corner.
Aw, nice.
Very nice.
That's really sweet, Rose.
All right, Lynn, how about you?
Oh, it's a work in progress, as is everything.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
This one was one to, I'm going to go back really and watch the video because I need the little brush strokes for all the other little things that you did.
Oh,
And that's
Okay.
something I really have looked forward to doing. So thank you very much for doing it.
okay. Well, that's something that, you know, those little brush strokes, Lynn, are just something to learn and to practice, you know, I would say.
Yes. and that's, I need to know how to do them in order to practice them.
Yeah, do you want me to just show you again real quick?
No, I'm going to go back and do the
Oh.
video. No, I'd like to see people's paintings. Thank you,
Okay.
though.
You're welcome.
Hi, Fratana. How about you? You need to unmute, sir.
Hold it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. That's really pretty colors, Katana. I like that. Looks like
Thank
a
you.
heart. That's cool.
All right.
Really
Oh,
nice.
Sarah, Marshall, and Aiden. How are we doing?
Hi. I don't know if you
Hi.
can see us. Hayden, can you set the point of your slide? So we're pretty new to this watercolor. I would love to see more of your detail work with leaves, but here's mine. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I love the color.
Yeah. Very
Yeah,
nice.
colors.
Very nice.
Like that. And Aiden is 13.
I kind of gave up on mine.
Oh,
Well,
That's
keep going.
good, though.
Yes.
that's nice, Aiden. Just
Yeah,
keep,
very nice.
yeah, keep working on it when you have time. You can always go back and work on it. Doesn't have to.
And right now, I'm making like a cherry tree.
All right.
Cherry
nice.
trees are
Got a
good.
good start.
And Grandpa, would you like to share what you've been doing?
No, mine's, no.
He's too shy. No.
Aw.
Can I just
Okay.
share it? Because he's
Oh,
just
here we
amazing.
go.
His details of this is quite amazing,
Oh, that's beautiful.
right?
Oh, my God.
Wow. You must have done some painting.
Beautiful.
before.
He's not, he's self-taught.
Oh,
That's beautiful.
So this is probably the first class he's been taking, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
so
thank you.
welcome. We're so thrilled that you were here today.
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
too.
Welcome.
Come again. We're going to do more.
And,
Yes, we will.
and Jane, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm
All
not
right.
done, but I'm having fun.
Oh, nice. Nice sunflowers, good connections.
So that's
Thank
where I've
you.
gotten to.
Anybody else?
Okay, we're gonna put you on camera.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Okay. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being with us today. And it was fun to have this time together to do some watercolor painting. And I hope you'll come again soon and check out all the fun things at the Art Center. There's lots of cool things going on. Have a happy Thanksgiving and stay safe.
All right.
Happy
Have a
Thanksgiving.
happy
Thank you
Thanksgiving,
both.
everybody, and join us again, please. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.